We have a shocking Detroit Red Wings trade update to go over today, as a blockbuster trade is coming for the Red Wings, as Steve Yzerman has the perfect opportunity to add a superstar winger to this group. This group that is so hot, playing well this season, heading into the Stanley Cup playoffs. We're going to break down exactly what this means and how Artemi Panarin can become a Detroit Red Wing. We're going to break it all down in this episode of Red Wings Digest. But guys, before we get into it, a quick reminder to hit that subscribe button. We've noticed that a large percentage of you, it's a new channel, are not subscribed to the channel. If you're watching over there on Hattrick HQ, why don't you go over and subscribe to Red Wings Digest? Everything to do with the Detroit Red Wings. So if you're a huge Red Wings fan and we see you guys watching the content over on Hattrick HQ, come on over to Red Wings Digest daily news on the Red Wings. We'll mark a huge update. Let's get into how Artemi Panarin could become a Detroit Red Wing. It just makes sense with the salary cap this year, and we know Panarin is being held out of games. He's played his last game as a New York Ranger. He wants to go to a team that is competitive. He does want a contract extension. We know that he would prefer that, but I think he wants to win a Stanley Cup too, and make no mistake about it, with where the Wings are at right now and the salary cap space, I think it makes sense.
Because the big thing is right now, we know last year Stevie Y went into trade deadline and kind of sat on his hands. He didn't add to the team a lot, and that kind of rubbed fans and some of the players the wrong way. But now you're looking at a team that not only is in the playoff spot, but one of the top teams in the entire NHL, one of the top teams in the Eastern Conference. The Red Wings are absolutely rolling, and looking at the lineup they have, you have elite talent, you have the veterans, the young guys. But getting back to Panarin, because that's what a lot of people care about, this is a team that has the opportunity. You cannot sit on your hands, because players like this do not become available very often. Even going into the report from Chris Johnson that he's held out of the lineup, this is going to be a management purpose on keeping him out because they don't want a player to get hurt heading in. Like you said, the Red Wings have the cap space to make this work. They can go out and acquire him, and not only hold him for this season, but with the cap going up, with them having close to 39 million in cap space going into next season, with the world of the cap going up and up and up. Darius, I think this is where you truly need to look at Panarin and say, hey, we are one of the top teams. This is a guy that's going through, so that's Patrick Kane, but close enough. He's been a stud as well. This is a guy that you need to go out and take any chance you can to acquire him and put him in this lineup.
Yeah, and I think that it just makes sense at this point. From the newest reports, he wants to go to a team that's going to be competitive. He doesn't want to go from the Rangers to another team that's going to be in the basement. He wants to go to a team that has a chance at winning, and that is the Detroit Red Wings this year and the foreseeable future. Not only that, like you brought up, the salary cap structure. They have $38 million to work with next season. He can sign an extension with this team. Now, the interesting thing is we've heard he wants probably $10 to $11 million over the course of 4 years. He is an older player, but you have a lot of the young guys locked up on this team. You only have a handful of UFAs you need to sign, and they're not going to eat up a large percentage of that available cap space, with another $10 million being available next summer as well. So I think they're in a spot where they could make this work. They could actually sign him to a contract extension. Although I think it gets interesting. We know what the Rangers want in return. They want young players. Casper, if you're a fan of him, he's going to be going in that trade. That is for sure. There's going to be a couple of young players included in that trade. The Red Wings have done a great job, Steve Yzerman, in terms of not trading away too many draft picks as well. They have a lot in the cupboard right now, so they can offer that to the Rangers. And we all know the Rangers are going to do nothing with that. But if Chris Drury wants that, that's fine. That's not the Red Wings' problem. So I think it becomes very interesting for this team now, where we haven't really heard much. And some Red Wings fans on social media are speculating that because we haven't heard the Red Wings in these talks, that means it might actually happen because they're keeping it on the low. So that is very interesting. Now, Panarin, if you look at his stats, he's an elite player in this league. He's an elite offensive player, I should say. You're not getting much out of him defensively, but that could bode well for this Detroit Red Wings team to add another explosive offensive player. I think it just makes sense into the future. The only caveat, Mark, and I'll throw it back over to you, and I wonder how you feel about this. He's another older player. You're adding another older player. But when you have guys like Seider locked up already, Lucas Raymond, two very good contracts, I don't know if you have to be worried about that. And you got John Gibson here. He's playing some great hockey. You got a great goaltender in the American Hockey League as well. I think this team's in a good spot.
Because I think that's the way you put it perfectly. When you look at a team, if this was a team and you had everyone, like the LA Kings, for example, where everyone feels almost 40 years old, yes,
Yeah.
adding another older guy to that locker room might hurt, but this is a team that has the youth. We've seen all these guys step up in this lineup that are contributing this early in their career. So I think you can take that risk. Add one of those guys that are in their 30s to bring in a guy that knows what it takes to win, what the playoffs are like, and someone that's going to score you a lot of goals. I mean, Darius, just looking at the stats again, this is a guy that's going to bolster your power play percentage. This is a guy that's going to come in and put up numbers on whatever line he's on. I think when looking at this, if you don't have to mortgage the future, if you have to get into a bidding war, maybe you look somewhere else for a player. But at the end of the day, I think with just those numbers, it feels like the perfect opportunity to Stevie Y go out and say, hey, listen, I sat on my hands last year. Both are free. We're going big game hunting because we need more players.
And I think the other interesting thing when talking about the Rangers and Panarin, we know that there's interest with the Rangers from the Red Wings side. We know that they want a center, and we know that they want a right shot defenseman. They want another defenseman. We heard that the other day as well, which could be Braden Schneider, who's on the trade block as well. It could be Vincent Trocheck, or maybe they just go out and they go, hey, we want Artemi Panarin, and maybe we want, Braden Schneider out of it. So I think that they could be a trade partner. But one thing's for sure, Panarin has played his last game as a Ranger. He's going to be on the move. And like you mentioned, he is a dynamic offensive player that can help anyone's power play, and not just the power play. I mean, he is a great offensive player. Maybe a little bit too east to west for me for the playoffs, of course, but he has scored some big playoff goals for the Rangers in the past, like a Game 7 overtime winner. It doesn't actually get any bigger than that. So I think it's a very interesting idea that the Red Wings should at least consider. But like you mentioned, if they get into a bidding war, if the contract extension looks like, which it is rumored to be like 4 or 5 years at $12 million, which would be a little crazy, like $10 to $12 million range. That's a little crazy. I think you at least consider it, because that is some offensive punch to go do something with this core group of players right now.
And I think that's the big thing. And Darius, just even looking at the team, I feel like if you went in, there was a big question around the goaltending. And I know a lot of people were kind of hating on John Gibson to start the year, but we're seeing the stats he's putting up. A guy that's going to go out and be a legitimate candidate to go out and win a Vezina this season, which is insane to say. But I feel like you're riding the high of so much. You have that defense, of course, another right-handed shot defense, and would be nice. Justin Falk almost fits the mold perfectly. But if you can go out, add that right-handed defenseman, if you can go out and add Panarin to this group with the goaltending, with how they're playing, I mean, we see the stats coming through. This is a team that's getting points in almost every single game that they play. This is a team that's going to continue trending in the right direction. Look, Detroit hasn't gone back-to-back games without picking up points since Black Friday. It's buy one, get one, free points everywhere with Detroit. This is a team that's going to continue playing well. We know John Gibson's the starting goaltender. He's going to continue getting the nod. Darius, I don't know, call me crazy, call me too bought into this team, but it feels like something special is just kind of brewing with this team, and you need to continue riding that high.
It is, and they haven't really dealt with too many injuries compared to some other teams this year. I mean, Tampa, who's currently ahead of them in the Atlantic Division standings, has, and they've continued to play well. But I wonder near the end of the season if, coming back from the break, this Red Wings team has been hot, but I wonder if they pick right back up where they left off and they're able to ride that right into the playoffs and where they end up finishing. They're going to finish top 3 in this division. They're going to make the playoffs this year, but I just wonder what this team looks like making noise in the playoffs. You got the goaltending. I think that's half the battle at this point. You got the physicality on the team. We know that. And you have the offensive punch. I wonder if you add some more in a guy like Panarin, or you just bolster the rest of the team with Trocheck, Schneider. You mentioned Falk, which I think would be another really, really good option for this team too, that we've been talking about the last couple of days. So I think things are going to get interesting. John Gibson is your starter in the game tonight. Patrick Kane, 1 point away from becoming the U.S. born all-time leader in points, which is pretty crazy. So we'll see what happens with that. But Mark, any final thoughts on the Red Wings and, Artemi Panarin as well? Because I think it's an interesting idea. It's kind of quieted down on the Red Wings in terms of like from insiders right now, but I don't think that means they're out of it. I think something's coming up here in the next maybe week at this point.
And I think the big thing is we know that freeze kicks in on Wednesday, where the team's not going to be able to make that trade going into the Olympic break, of course. But this gives them the opportunity to start working the phones. Well, I guess under the table you can, but you can look at what you have and what you're working with. I mean, right now, Stevie Eisman can sit down over the Olympic break, of course, watch some USA hockey, but he can also go into this break, really evaluate this team. Guys are going to get healthy. You're going to look at a full roster and say, hey, can we compete with the rest of the teams? So I think it gives them the perfect opportunity to not only use this cap space to go out, but with these new reports, with multiple players starting to hit the market, you're going to get a lot of options. Is Panarin the best one? It's to be seen at this point, but I think looking at the team, you have that chance to really just bolster every single thing within the lineup with a wide open East, one of the tightest we've seen. But it feels like any team can make the finals, Darius. I feel like Detroit has that possibility, and doing moves like this would set them apart from the rest.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's going to be an interesting rest of the way here heading into not only Olympics, because I think things are going to get busy over the course of the next couple of days, but coming out of the Olympics as well, because we know certain teams, like if the Red Wings do want Justin Falk, I don't think he's going to be traded until after the Olympic break, right before the trade deadline. So that'll be interesting to watch. But let us know down below in the comments how you feel about everything we discussed today. If you're a Red Wings fan, again, hit that subscribe button. If you're on Hat Trick HQ watching that, go over to Red Wings Digest. Hit that subscribe button. We're going to keep you updated with everything Detroit Red Wings every single day as they head for another playoff push. We'll see you guys for another video tomorrow. And again, if you haven't subscribed yet, hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with everything going on in the NHL and the Detroit Red Wings.